Starting today, a 14.2 kg domestic LPG cylinder will cost 942 rupees. Now, that is 29 rupees more than what consumers were paying till yesterday, and nearly 90 rupees more than before the West Asia conflict began. And unsurprisingly, the latest hike has once again triggered a political firestorm, with the opposition mounting attack on the government. But before we get to the politics, let's break down the prices in metro cities and also do a comparison of pre-West Asia conflict prices. Let's tell you about how one has to pay 29 rupees more per cylinder. We're going to talk about what the rates were in Delhi. Earlier, it was 913 rupees, and now the prices have gone up to 942. That is the cost of LPG cylinder in Delhi. In Mumbai, the prices were 912.50, and now the cost is 941.50 after the latest hike. In Kolkata, earlier the cost was 939, and now the cost has gone up to 968. In Chennai, it was 928.50, and now with the 29 rupee hike, the cost has gone up to 957.50. So we've given you a comparison of what the prices were before the pre-29 rupees hike. But let's also remember, this is the second such major hike in the last 3 months. So the second such hike in domestic LPG prices in the last 3 months after the West Asia conflict began. So let's now give you a timeline. In the last 3 months itself, domestic LPG has become costlier by 89 rupees in about 90 days. So in March, the cost was 853 rupees before the first hike, and that hike was for about 60 rupees. So in Delhi, the cost of one LPG cylinder before the first week of March was 853 rupees. After the hike was put in place, the cost went up to 913 rupees. And now in the second hike, which is a 29 rupees hike, the cost of one LPG cylinder is 942 rupees. So the total hike in the last 3 months itself, ever since the West Asia conflict began, is anywhere between 89 to 90 rupees. In Mumbai, the cost before the March hike was 852.50 rupees. After the hike that happened in March, the cost went up to 912.50, and now it is 941.50. So we are giving you this comparative data to understand what the numbers stand like, because this is an issue that impacts households. In Kolkata, the cost in March before the hike was 879 rupees of one LPG cylinder, the 14.2 kg LPG cylinder. Then after the first hike of 60 rupees in March, it went up to 939, and now after the 29 rupees hike in the month of June, it is 968 rupees. In Chennai, the cost before March was about 868.50. After the hike in March, it went up to 928.50, and now after the 29 rupee hike in domestic LPG cylinder prices, the cost stands at 957.50. With that, there's breaking news coming in. The political heat over LPG prices is rising once again. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has targeted the centre over the recent increase in domestic LPG prices. The Congress president claims that cylinder rates have gone up by 89 rupees in the last few months itself. In a social media post, Mallikarjun Kharge is attacking the government and has posed several questions to the centre. What are those questions? To break down the details, I have my colleague Akanksha with us. Akanksha, take us through the latest post of Mallikarjun Kharge, where he's targeting the government over the latest hike in domestic LPG.
Absolutely. A strong reaction has come in from the Congress party. Mallikarjun Kharge has said that in the last 4 months, the Modi government has hiked the prices of domestic LPG cylinder by 89 rupees. Our 3 questions in Parliament, Mr. Modi had made all claims about fuel diversification from 41 countries due to the war. What happened to that? Why is there still a shortage of LPG in rural areas today? In 2025-2026, 5.56 crore families under the Ujjwala scheme did not get even one or a single refill. Out of these 3.30 crore did not even get a single cylinder refill, and this is even before the West Asia crisis. Is this not the result of the Modi government's loot? Then the third question that the Congress party is asking, that Mr. Modi and BJP leaders used to raise a ruckus about inflation during the UPA era. Is that not true that Modi government has increased domestic LPG prices by 530 rupees in the last 12 years. So why aren't BJP leaders sitting on the streets with the cylinders? Now, he has posted this with a image here, as you can see, of the Prime Minister with this message, LPG ki aag se धुआं hua घरेलू बचत. So these are the three tough questions asked by the Congress president there, Mallikarjun Kharge, saying that in the last 4 months, the price hike has been about 89 rupees.
And the data cited by Mallikarjun Kharge is that, is it true or not? Mallikarjun Kharge is asking that the price of domestic LPG under the Modi government in the last 12 years is up by more than 500 rupees. The number cited by Mr. Kharge is 530 rupees. And he's asking, remember when you were in opposition and when the UPA was in power, your leaders sat on the streets with cylinders to protest. What is happening right now? Thank you, Akansha, for getting us what the Congress party has to say. But the government, meanwhile, in its response, has been straightforward. The government is saying that this is an increase that is being driven not by domestic policy, but by a global energy shock. It is also reminding that India imports more than 60% of its LPG requirement, and a majority of those imports have traditionally moved through the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the government is also claiming that even after the latest price hike, oil marketing companies continue to sell domestic LPG below cost. According to the Petroleum Ministry, in its latest detailed statement, the import-linked cost of one domestic LPG cylinder has now crossed 1,600 rupees. So this is the import cost of one LPG cylinder. But at a retail price of 942 rupees, oil companies are still absorbing the under-recovery of roughly 700 rupees on each cylinder sold. Now, that's the defense coming in, and that's only one part of what the government has said. Kritika, can you break down for our viewers what the government has said in its defense? The opposition is unsparing in its attack, but the government is talking about the evolving and ever-changing global scenario, and is saying that this is because of what has been happening in West Asia. And one cannot forget the fact that we import our LPG, and the import-linked cost of domestic LPG cylinder in itself has crossed rupees 1,600 per cylinder, and yet the retail price is at 942. Get us more aspects of the government statement.
Well, Sakrika, the government is underlining that even though the price hike, once again, which has happened today of rupees 29, has taken the overall increase of the domestic cylinder to nearly rupees 90, making it cross the 900 rupee mark also in a city like Delhi. The government continues to say that this is still one of the lowest hikes that is being currently witnessed across the world. Now, what the government says is that the price of cooking gas, as far as India is concerned, is much lower than that of the neighboring countries. The government also says that the same cost is even far lower when compared to advanced nations of United States, Canada and Australia as well. So that is in one way in which the government is trying to tell the public that they're in fact intended to shield the middle class as well as people from the shocks, the price shocks that come as part of the West Asia crisis and the global energy crisis at large. The government is also sharing three numbers with us. First is of rupees 1,600. That is what the current market rate of cooking gas is currently. 900 around is what the price that an average consumer would have to pay in a city like Delhi, which again means that it is some 600-700 rupees less than the market price, a loss which is currently being absorbed by oil marketing companies itself. As far as Ujjwala consumers are concerned, they also get an additional 300 rupee subsidy. So for them in a city like Delhi, the gas prices continue to be around 642. So these are the three figures that the government is also pointing at in order to underline that their attempt is to in fact shield people from the price hike. However, the opposition keeps on saying that in installments inflation is being increased. It is not being done in one go to avoid any massive public outcry. But as far as the government is concerned, they are stating that they've also, in fact, earlier cut down excise duty on petrol and diesel as well in order to shield consumers. They're also, in fact,
they're also pointing at the larger increase in prices. One in increase in petrol and diesel prices, increase in the cost of commercial LPG cylinders in the last few days, and now a second hike in the cost of domestic LPG cylinders, a second hike in the last 89 to 90 days. And cumulatively, the opposition is pointing at how this increase is affecting the common man. With that, let's also take a look at how the Aam Aadmi is reacting to the latest development of the 29 rupees hike in the cost of domestic LPG prices.
Amidst the ongoing crisis in the West Asia between US and Iran, the domestic LPG prices here in India have once again been hiked twice in the past 3 months. The Petroleum Ministry has once again hiked the 14.2 kg cylinder price now with ranging from 913 to 942 in the national capital. This particular hike has been raised by the rupees 29. Now remember, this is the second hike that has been come in the past 3 months. Previously on March as well, in the month of March, the hike was done by rupees 60, and now coming in this particular fresh hike effectively implemented from June 7th will cumulatively increase the price by 89 rupees, leaving the citizens to bear the brunt of it. The government is also stating that they are trying to insulate the citizens and shield the citizens from the hike, the spike in the international prices. So that has been the politics pertaining to this issue, and at the same time people are also requesting that the government considers this particular issue, the hike, and reduces it as well, because they are the ones who are bearing the brunt. So it has to be seen amidst all the politics and the effect of the international war, it has to be seen what necessary measures will be undertaken by the government to insulate the people from the price hike. Reporting for Times Now with Vijay Dilip, Akshara DM in Bengaluru.
So one of the factors that the opposition is pointing at is how the OMCs are making profits. But the government currently says, let's do a comparison between the cost of LPG in India and around the world. So when it comes to Ujjwala beneficiaries, the government is saying because of the subsidy that has been given, the cost per cylinder is 642 rupees. And when it comes to unsubsidized cylinder, it is at 942. Now, a comparison is given between the neighborhoods. So in Pakistan, the cost of the same cylinder is more than 1,000 rupees. It's 1,046. In Nepal, it's more than 1,200 rupees. In Bangladesh, too, it's 1,225. In Sri Lanka, it's 1,241. When we look at other countries like the United States, the same cost is approximately about 1,755. In Australia, it's about 1,765. And in Canada, the same cost of LPG, 14.2 kg, is about 2,411. So this is the comparison that the government is pointing at. But the opposition has a different data to point at. Congress Party's Manish Tiwari has posed some questions to the centre over the LPG price hike. Manish Tiwari says, and I'm going to quote from his post, he says, why the repeated LPG price hikes when oil marketing companies are making profits? He's talking about state-run oil marketing companies who made profits in FY25 and 26, and the three OMCs made a profit of 77,280.65 crores. That is a 130% jump over 2024 and 2025. So this is the data cited by Congress's Manish Tiwari. Before we get you more reactions from the opposition camp, listen into this exclusive conversation that we had with the Congress MP.
Well, that's hogwash for the lack of a better word. The fact is that oil marketing companies, the ones that supply petrol, diesel, LPG to households across the country and to businesses, have made whopping profits. The three oil marketing companies, BPCL, IOC and HPCL, which control 90% of the market share, made 140% more profit in the financial year 25-26 over the financial year 24-25. Even in the quarter of January to March 2026, when the US-Israeli attack on Iran had commenced, they made a profit of 19,000 odd crores collectively.
प्रॉब्लम हो रही है इससे, क्योंकि इससे महंगाई आसमान छू रही है. मिडिल क्लास और लोअर मिडिल क्लास के लिए तो बिल्कुल ही मुसीबत की घड़ी है ये. और इसमें एक ही चीज की अफसोस है मुझे कि सबको पता था कि ये एक वैश्विक प्रॉब्लम है और मोदी जी के हाथ में भी नहीं है इसको सॉल्व करना, मगर इसको एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए था। एक्सेप्ट करते, जनता को एक्सप्लेन करते और कॉन्फिडेंस में लेते। आप ऑल द टाइम कहते रहे कि हम तो विश्व गुरु हैं, सब खुद हम हैंडल कर लेंगे। हर चीज विश्व गुरु हैंडल नहीं कर पाता है।
Niyamika, my colleague, is with us. Niyamika, while the government is pointing at the import-linked cost of one LPG cylinder, saying that that cost in itself has gone up to 1,600 rupees, and even now there are attempts being made to shield the consumer from price shock, and is talking about global LPG prices and has done a comparison there. The Congress is pointing at a different data altogether. They're talking about the profits made by OMCs, saying that why the repeated hikes when OMCs have been making profits. Tell me more about what the Congress party is planning with regards to its strategy on the repeated hikes that are happening. One, fuel prices. Number two, now domestic LPG cylinders, because the Congress is unwilling to let the government go on this aspect, questioning the government on its priorities.
Well, yes, indeed. We have seen that how the Congress party has also got an opportunity to continuously attack the government of India, as the allegation which the Congress party is making is that when there was time when then there was no crisis within the country, when this West Asia war was not going on. At that point in time, it was the ONCs who had got all the profits. They have made this profit as the crude oil prices were very low, but the fuel prices here in our country were very high. And now when there is time when it is the responsibility of government of India to manage everything, they have completely failed to do so, and that is the only reason why now they have started putting all the burden upon the common citizen. We have also listened to various statements being given by the Congress leaders, including the Congress President Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. He has also posed 3 questions from the government of India regarding this entire matter. First is that why when the UPA government was in power, at that point in time BJP used to criticize their policies and they were on the streets, but now in the past 12 years 530 rupees have been increased on the LPG cylinders. Why the BJP is not willing to give any answer on that? Secondly, he has also stated that for the Ujjwala's beneficiaries, more than 3 crore people are not being able to refill their LPG cylinders. And on the other side, it is the government of India which is stating that there is no shortage of LPG in this country. But this is a situation where crores of people have been affected.
And that's why the government is also pointing out, amid all the criticism, that the hike in prices is because of a global energy shock. And it's also reminding that India imports more than 60% of its LPG requirement, and a majority of those imports have traditionally moved through the Strait of Hormuz. Thank you so much, Niyamika, for getting us the latest as the political war of words continues. With that, viewers, it's time for us to slip into a short break.